Welcome to the SBI Podcast, offering CEOs, sales and marketing leaders ideas to make the number.
Welcome, SBI Podcast listeners and video podcast viewers. My name is Greg Alexander, and I am the CEO of SBI, a sales and marketing consulting company dedicated to helping you make your number. This is the weekly SBI Podcast, and its purpose is to help you make your number by getting your peers to share with you how they make theirs. Today's guest is Chris Bittner, and he is the Senior Director of Global Sales and Channel Strategy for Autodesk, a software company who for 30 years has helped designers, engineers, and visual artists make things with their software solutions. The company employs just over 7,000 people and does just about $2.5 billion in sales. Chris, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks, Greg. Glad to be here.
Okay, today we're going to ask Chris to help his peers set their companies up for success by discussing channel selection and optimization. When this episode airs, it will be mid to late Q1 of 2016, and many of our listeners will be back from sales kickoff, and they'll have turned their attention to driving revenue growth through channel optimization. We're going to use a section of SBI's revenue growth method to guide our conversation, specifically Step 5, Sales Strategy, Phase 6, and pages 171 to 172. If you want to follow along at home and you've yet to download a copy of this methodology, you can do so at salesbenchmarkindex.com/2016-report. All right, we're going to jump into it. So Chris, here's my first question for you. How do you determine product channel fit? And what I mean by that is, how do you figure out which products should be sold to which customers through which channels?
Great, good question. Yeah, channel product fit. I think there's the classic things that you have to look at, like how much customization is required, what kind of skills need to surround that customization, what services need to complement the product. Do you need education and support post-sell? What's the market demand, or how much market pull is there? Do you just set up driftnet channels where people just swim into them, or do you need people out there really driving that demand and having that marketing machine? So, you think about all those factors, and I think one of the most important things to think about is where is their previous or pre-existing customer relationships. Either they sell a product which is complementary to yours within an existing set of customers that's similar to those you're trying to reach, or a place where they have a relationship with a customer that would prefer to buy through that specific channel. So those are the kinds of things that we look at, and a lot of them are classic, but a lot of it's just identifying where the best fit for the product is.
Yeah, I love the phrase driftnet partners. I haven't heard that before. That's a really cool phrase. I'm going to steal that one from you.
Okay.
All right, my next question for you is, how do you determine the channel preferences of your end customers?
Probably the most basic answer is talk to customers, right? And obviously you can do that in a one-to-one basis. You can do it in multiple customer conversations. And, what we do from a kind of corporate headquarter strategy point of view is we do that in a more scientific way. Every year we do an annual purchase behavior study where we look at thousands of customers, and not just customers, but we also look at our prospects as well. Often that's our growth engine. So what we're trying to do is to seek to better understand what shapes their preference, what they value in the purchase experience, and where their experience needs are being met or not met. And that's a lot of what shapes our channel strategy. So we can identify, hey, this set of customers would prefer to purchase in an electronic or digital means, and that's the play that we run there. That's the long and short of it. Talk to customers, study it, and get their point of view.
Yeah, what I like about that answer is this annual study that you do, which allows you to collect thousands of data points so that you don't overreact to a single data point, which sometimes I see customers do when they just do it maybe less formally than you do through just, anecdotal data collection. So that's
hard not to react to those single data points even still, but yeah, I think that's certainly part of the point.
Yeah. All right, so you talk to them, which is simple, but sometimes the best ideas are the simplest ones, and let's not confuse simple with easy. It's some work associated with that. My next question is, so you get all this information back, you've got to crunch it, and we see many times clients producing these things called the ideal channel partner profile. Do you believe in that concept? Do you use that concept? What are your thoughts there?
Guess it kind of depends on the customer, right? Some customers could purchase the exact same product in two completely different channels. So for us, I think there are ideal channel profiles, plural, and what we really aim to do is set up a range of different channel experiences which meet the different needs of our customers. So again, some of it's a digital experience. In certain countries, it's more of a face-to-face and a high-touch relationship. And so for us, I think we definitely have profiles that we seek to achieve, but the channel diversity is also a pretty important part of our strategy and our formula.
Yeah.
Recognizing every customer has somewhat different needs and different wants and desires, and so that's part of what goes into our calculus.
Yeah. So channel diversity, it's an interesting topic because you and I had spoken not too long ago about channel consolidation that's happening in your industry being caused by the move to the cloud. So tell the audience a little bit about why channel consolidation is happening right now, and as the person who owns channel strategy, what you're doing to respond to that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we definitely see it, and as I talk to my peers within the industry, it's a pretty common and prevalent trend taking place right now. And I think a lot of it is, you have to have scale to succeed in the new business models, and whether that's a form of you need new marketing, sales, and operational capabilities. You need to be able to do auto renewal, for instance. You need to have low touch kind of purchase or renewal methods. So a lot of that requires scale and it's different operational muscles. You need to have a different kind of marketing engine, one which generates a lot more inbound kind of marketing. The cold call isn't as effective as it used to be. And so again, it's some of that scale. And I think probably the biggest change is as you move from, as Autodesk is doing, as you move from a kind of traditional software licensing model where you're recognizing the revenue up front to one which is a recurring model, there's some natural cash flow barriers for smaller companies and smaller partners. And all of that leads to consolidation. It all begs for consolidation because scale is one of the vehicles that helps you kind of avoid those different things.
Yeah. So we
don't do anything to positively influence it or negatively influence it. We let the market kind of take its shape. But it's certainly something that we look out for, and sometimes that consolidation is 1 + 1 = 3. Sometimes it's 1 + 1 = 1. So certainly something that we look for and keep an eye on.
Yeah. So for our listeners and readers and viewers, pay attention to this trend. If channel consolidation is happening in your industry, you're going to have to respond with a new channel strategy. Okay, we're going to take a short break, and when we come back, Chris and I will discuss channel coverage models and competitor channel analysis. So come back after the break.
Making your number is hard. Your problems are complex. Complex problems need complex solutions. Introducing the SBI Magazine. Read in-depth stories written by award-winning journalists about how your peers have overcome their problems to make the numbers. When you need more than a tweet, social post, or blog article, turn to the SBI Magazine. Go to salesbenchmarkindex.com to subscribe.
Welcome back. My name is Greg Alexander, and I am the CEO of SBI. My guest today is Chris Bittner, the Senior Director of Sales and Channel Strategy at Autodesk. Today we are discussing channel optimization, and we're using SBI's revenue growth methodology to do it, specifically pages 171 and 172, if you're keeping up with us at the office. Before the break, Chris shared with us how he determines product channel fit, how he learns which channels the end customers want to buy from, and kicked around ideas such as the ideal partner profile and how to deal with channel consolidation that's going on these days. During this segment, we're going to hear from Chris on channel coverage models and how to understand competitor channels through doing competitor channel analysis. So Chris, let me come back to you and ask you my first question in this series. How do you make sure you have proper coverage across the channel partner network?
It's a good question, and I would say that it's in some ways it's part science, but a lot of art as well. So we track capacity, capability, and location. So how many do we have? How capable are they, and where are they located? So that's kind of gives you a sense of a general coverage map. And on top of that, you can get a really good sense by assessing performance across different regions. And in major economic hubs, for instance, within a given product category, with similar market characteristics, our performance ought to be relatively similar or symmetrical across those different markets. And oftentimes when you see outliers or you see differences in performance, it's the result of a coverage gap or an opportunity for us to recruit new partners or to go out there and better enable those partners that are in our existing coverage model. So, those are some of the basics, but I would say, again, it's part art, part science, and you have to rely on people on the ground as much as you can on any analysis or any kind of, big headquarter kinds of takeaways or work that you might do.
Yeah. The things that are basic to you are not basic to our audience, so I just wanted to repeat your answer there. So capacity, capability, and location. A method, a three-step method to consider coverage models, which I think is very practical. When you think about the capability component of that, how do you study how each partner sells your product?
Yeah, it's good. I mean, around specific to capability, we look at metrics like certifications. We, of course, have a training and certification program, and so that's a pretty good indicator of to what extent we have the right kinds of capability within a given market. And we also like to look at performance. And, the most important parts of the performance when we look at an overall partner is, are they growing? And then if you click down a level deeper, this is where you really get a lot of the insights. What are the sources of that growth? Is it coming from new customer acquisition? Is it coming as a result of cross-selling within existing customers or going deeper and wider in the portfolio? Those are pretty good indications that they have a lot of capability. They are able to go into an account and get deeper and wider in that account. A lot of growth comes from just add-on seats, selling within existing accounts who've already kind of made that purchase decision. And that's an important kind of sell, but it's not as indicative of the right kinds of partners, skill sets, capabilities as that cross-selling. So we look at the sources of growth. The other thing that we do when we're studying how our partners are selling the product is we post-customer experience, we issue a customer satisfaction survey, which gives us a lot of good indications about what they valued in the purchase experience and what could be improved in the future.
Yeah. I mean, lots of data there, right? So you're testing them on certification, which is a knowledge test. You're looking at the numbers, not just the revenue they're generating for you, but what's causing that. And then you're speaking directly to their customers, what the experience was like during the buy, which is fantastic. Right. And, I think that's a great way to determine how they're selling your product. Let me talk about the competitors, right? So you've got channel partners, and usually, but not always, but usually one of the value propositions of buying through a channel partner is the channel partner represents multiple products and they're quote-unquote objective. And sometimes channel partner sells your product and sometimes it sells a competitor's product. So how do you learn, which channel partners favor the competitor's products and how they position them against you?
Yeah, and I would start off by saying it's actually not an area where we have a tremendous amount of focus. One of the things as a channel vendor you typically seek is mind share and focus, and some companies look to have a captive channel, and for the most part we're in a pretty fortunate position. Our channel partners tend to be extremely focused on our solutions. Our solutions span a lot of different industries, and so there's generally enough there for them to focus on. So I would say, we probably don't spend as much time on that as a lot of other companies. But I think the best source of insight into what the competitors are doing as it relates to or where partners are focusing or favoring certain competitor lines comes from the actual partners themselves that they're competing with in the market. So get out there and you talk to partners, they'll tell you where certain partners are favoring a given competitor or maybe changing the conversation within accounts away from Autodesk, for instance. So it gives you a sense. I think some of it comes from just getting out in the field and talking to partners and getting their perspective.
Yeah. You're very lucky that you have such loyalty with your partners. For several of our clients and people that would be watching and listening to this, the partner sits down in front of the customer and says, what do you want to buy today? The customer says X, Y, Z, and out comes the line card, and there's 50 vendors on it, right? So getting mind share in that environment is really hard. In your particular case, the word partner is real. So, they're committed their businesses to you, which is fantastic.
Yeah, I think the other thing, you just have to have confidence in the ROI of their return on, for instance, an Autodesk investments they make. And I think, luckily for us, we have confidence our programs are really best in class and provide that ROI for partners.
Yeah. All right, we're going to take a short break. When we return, we're going to shift our focus a little bit and focus on selecting, signing, enabling, and managing channel partners. So come back after the break.
Do you have too many things to do and not enough time to do them? Is finding time to learn best practices almost impossible? The SBI Podcast is your solution. Turn time spent exercising, commuting, and traveling into productive learning time with a subscription to the SBI Podcast. SBI Podcast listeners get unique insight into real-world sales and marketing issues through interviews with your industry peers every week. Find us on iTunes by searching for Sales Benchmark Index Podcast and subscribe today.
Welcome back. My name is Greg Alexander, and I'm the CEO of SBI. And my guest today is Chris Bittner of Autodesk. Today we are discussing channel optimization. During this segment, we're going to hear from Chris on how he selects, signs, onboards, and manages channel partners. So Chris, given the market leadership position that your company is in, do you still have to recruit channel partners? And if so, how do you do that?
Yeah, we do. I think we're in a different mode than a lot of other companies, given kind of our time in the market and the fact that we've got a long track record with partners. But we identify the need, we assess what we would need to fill that coverage gap, and then we go out and we're very targeted about where we recruit. And as a lot of our products are moving into the cloud, we find ourselves recruiting, for instance, some of those cloud partners who have that set of expertise, experience, and the cloud conversation is kind of natural to them. So as an example, that's one of the places where we go and recruit. A lot of times we go in there and we seed their investment with some kind of jumpstart incentives and things like that. But every situation is really unique to the market and the partners that we're recruiting. And so we don't really take a one-size-fits-all approach, but identify the need, assess which partners might fit that need, and then we go recruit and apply whatever we need to get them to kind of come on board and incentivize them to start their relationship with Autodesk off on the right foot.
So you talked about assessing them. And earlier, I asked you about channel coverage, and you mentioned location was one of the items. So let's take that as a use case here. So let's say, you're expanding into a geography, or you want greater coverage in that geography because the numbers are suggesting that maybe you can support more channel partners. So you go out and you look and you say, okay, I got 10 people to choose from. I'm gonna pick a couple based on that assessment. What are the criteria that you look for?
Yeah, it's a great question. It's a function of qualification, again, alignment with our needs, and I think most important, commitment. So, do they have existing relationships with customers that are desirable for Autodesk to reach? Do they promote complementary products where selling our product would be kind of a natural second add-on to what they're already promoting? And again, I think, like I said, the most important thing is, are they committed and are they ready to invest?
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, the word partnership, unfortunately, especially in the technology industry, has been abused. Some of our clients have literally hundreds, if not thousands, of partners, of which none of which generate any revenue because there's no commitment there on the channel partner side of it. So that's a really important thing. All right, let's continue on this use case, and let's say you sign a new channel partner, right? So do you have a formal onboarding process to get them successful quickly? I mean, how do you onboard a new channel partner?
Yeah, we definitely have onboarding, and I would say it's not probably as rigorous as a lot of companies who are in that recruitment mode, so to speak. The majority of our channel partners are already on board. We have a very vast partner network. So, but we do all of the kind of traditional things where we offer them training, we offer them certification, and we have dedicated folks in the field or partner management organization that go out and help to ensure the early success of these partners.
Yep. Okay. So since you don't have a heavy focus on onboarding new partners, which given your business makes perfect sense to me, let me ask you a different question, which is managing the channel partner throughout their life cycle. If you think about a classic life cycle here, right? So you have, birth, if you will, you have growth up the curve, there's maturity, then you hit decline, and then eventually you sunset the relationship. So do you have a different approach based on the channel partner and where they are in their life cycle with you? Or are the people that you partner with typically businesses that stay in business for 30, 40, 50 years, and you don't have to worry about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the latter, right? We hope that the partners that we have are really, partners with us for a long, long time. The partnership should hopefully be passed down, or there should be succession plans in place which lead to its longevity. And so that's, I'd say the majority of our focus on the life cycle is helping partners to continue to improve, to continue to maintain capability that aligns with our portfolio evolution and the needs of our customers. Yeah. And so it's really more about ongoing enablement, and making sure that they have the skills required and the investments required to continue to grow as Autodesk changes.
Okay, so really no need for lifecycle management, which makes sense given what you've shared with us so far. All right, we're going to take one last break. When we come back, Chris and I will discuss what to do next if you are focused on optimizing your channel program. So stick around after the break. You are watching SBI TV. This is a monthly web TV show featuring guests just like you, executives trying to grow their revenues. Each month, you can peek behind the scenes and watch your peers discuss their strategies for how they make their numbers. You are not going to want to miss this. Welcome back, everyone. Chris, I would like to conclude our time together with some practical advice. So let me ask you one final question that will allow you to summarize your thoughts. So here we go. If you were hired tomorrow by a company and tasked with optimizing the sales channels, what would you do first, second, and third?
Okay, that's a good question. I think first I would listen and seek to understand the current channel. I think people are often quick to come to conclusions or to think about how they need to change that channel. And I think sometimes that change will paralyze the existing channel. So I seek to understand, listen, make sure you understand before reacting. Second, I'd measure and assess. I would find out where are the sources of growth, where are the channel partners performing well, where do we have coverage gaps or inefficiencies, where are we not meeting the needs of our customers. And third, I would seek to instill confidence and drive for consistency to the existing channel. So, change, again, often paralyzes the channel, and I would only change in the highest priority areas or in places where there's simplification. So, change is always hard, but it's intensified with the channel, and so oftentimes you got to get out there, instill confidence, and make sure that they understand that there's going to be some kind of consistent and even-handed leadership.
Mm-hmm. Very good. So a very pragmatic, measured approach, and I agree with that. I think sometimes new leaders come in, they want to put their fingerprint on things, so it's change for change's sake, and it causes a lot of disruption. All right, here are my 2 cents for what it's worth. If you are like most sales teams, you think you have a channel optimization strategy, but you don't. And I hate to be negative, but it's true. We live in this world and see this all the time. Most likely, you don't know which products should be sold to which customers through which channels. The reason you don't know this is because you don't know 3 things. This is the big takeaway. Do these 3 things and you'll have a highly optimized channel. Number 1, which channels do your buyers want to buy through? Sounds simple. Let's not confuse simple with easy. You have to really go figure that out. Okay? Number 2, how much it costs to acquire a customer by product, by market, and by sales channel. Really think about that. How much do I have to spend to acquire an end customer for each product, each market segment, and each sales channel? That allows me to allocate money. And then I contrast that cost with the 3rd item, which is what is the lifetime value of each customer? Again, by product, market, and sales channel. And if you can do those things, you can see if I spend $1 here and I make 5, that's better than spending $1 here and making 1. Those are the 3 big things you have to do. Okay, unfortunately, what we normally see is what you really have is a series of channel optimization tactics that you have been relying on for years that no longer work very well. Channel consolidation, the cloud, etc., is rendering a lot of these things ineffective. And unfortunately, this causes companies to miss their number too often. This is why you care about taking a fresh look at your channel strategy right now. Hopefully, Chris's example today will help you get started in the right direction. Nothing better than to hear a peer. If you want a couple of other resources for you, here's what I would offer you. Get a copy of this year's research report, aptly titled, How to Make Your Number in 2016. You can find it at salesbenchmarkindex.com. Turn to pages 171 and 172, which is what we use today for our conversation. Also, if you want, you can have one of our experts lead you through a workshop, which will help you determine customer acquisition cost, customer lifetime value, and product channel fit. If that's interesting to you, same website, salesbenchmarkindex.com/2016-workshop, and we'll send somebody out to see you. Hey, Chris, on behalf of the SBI subscriber base, I really want to thank you for being on the show today and contributing back to our field.
Thanks a bunch, Greg. Pleasure to be here.
And a big thank you to our audience. I appreciate the attention you give me every week. I know you've got lots to do, and you carve out time to listen to me, and I greatly appreciate that and don't take it lightly. And I wish you much success as you try and make your number.
This has been the SBI Podcast. For more information on SBI services, case studies, the SBI team and how we work, or to subscribe to our other offerings, please visit us at salesbenchmarkindex.com.